could you give me a few key elements and an idea of scope as what you'd be looking at if you were recruiting for a chief architect or an enterprise architect?
Okay, first thing to think about is where is that architect going to sit in the organisation, the responsibilities you're looking for. I've seen many organisations that when they talk about chief architect, enterprise architect, actually really mean IT architecture. This is the infrastructure, the data systems, how it all fits together, and aligning that to a business. So this role sits within IT, hardly goes out of IT, and it's basically your top level technical planner for the organisation. Sometimes that's your most senior solution architect, because you've got a couple of really big programs, SAP, something like that, and they become a chief architect for SAP with some bolt-ons. At the other end of the scale, you've got the true enterprise architect, where perhaps only 50% of their job is the IT, and what you're looking at is somebody that can see where your business is going, what's important to that business, and then be able to look at the systems, processes and structures necessary to make that happen. And there's a massive gap between the two. So first question is, where's it going to report? And what are the outcomes you actually want in the organisation? None of them are wrong that I've just described, but you're going to hire very different people.
It's an interesting one, and I suppose there's that argument as well. Goes back a while. Does business architecture sit outside of enterprise architecture, or what's your view on that then?
If your enterprise architecture is enterprise-wide IT architecture, then you've got a business architect separate. If you're really doing enterprise architecture, well, business architecture is a part of it by default. So you're just playing with definitions because of the layer in the organisation you're dropping the roles into.
What is really going to bring value to an organisation as an enterprise architect?
Well, first of all, let's say it's about scope. Getting the scope right for the role so that you're prepared to have the right person take that scope on. If I've got an enterprise architect and I want them to really contribute in strategic thinking for the organisation, I've got to ask what is it they can contribute. They're not owning the business and driving the business, but at the same time you don't want them to be following on from all the decisions being made, turning up saying, well, this is how I'll do it now. You've got to be part of that conversation. And the key things you can expect from some of the enterprise architect role around the identification of opportunities for the organisation and really understanding the risks the organisation is taking and what you can do about them. So let's look at the opportunities, first of all. If I look back to 2007, the iPhone first turned up. And it was a big thing, and the reason it was different was because you now got an app store that made it really easy to deploy apps. And it got massive traction, but there was still competition for the first 2 or 3 years, but everybody was hyping it was going to change the world. The reality 10 years on is it did. And then the iPad that came out the same sort of way, and you basically only have 2 ecosystems now for mobile phones, neither of which existed more than 10 years ago, and everything else has gone by the wayside. But if right at the start as an enterprise architect I've been jumping up and down and going, we must go iPhone, I'm too soon. I'm basically just on whatever the next hype bandwagon is, and you can get plenty of analyst organisations telling you about hype every week of the year pretty much. The other end of the scale is 10 years down the line. If you haven't put your stuff onto an iPhone app and you want to be in the apps economy, you've missed the boat by a long way. So there's that point in the middle where your enterprise architect can help you understand what's changing now that within a business cycle of a couple of years has a good opportunity to move forward and where you'd position yourself. Bitcoin's another good one. It's 10 years old pretty much since that first came out. And the reality is, yes, Bitcoin is highly volatile, but even Facebook now has their own digital currency based on it. You're looking at central banks regulating it. Is now the time to launch yourself a new digital currency? You've probably missed the boat. It was a couple of years ago. But there's still a level of risk involved with that. And not just the currency side. What about taking on the idea of having that sort of ledger that's behind the scenes of Bitcoin? That ledger that allows you to disintermediate in markets and actually have that public information being shared securely. That technology is now available to buy off the shelf from a number of the major cloud providers. So now's a great time to be using that and getting involved with it. 3 or 4 years now. If you're not doing it, your competitors probably will be, and you'll be looking at being the second or third entrant into a marketplace, and you've already lost the position.
I think blockchain, it's a massive potential, isn't it? I think, is it Maersk that have just gone into the field of actually bringing all their containers onto blockchain technology and really pushing the boat in that industry?
So that's nothing new. So you've probably got many people in your organisation who know, blockchain, we should have a blockchain. They've read the airline magazine sort of thing. Perhaps they've been to a conference or two. The ones I'd be trusting would be your architecture team to actually work out how do we fit it in with everything else? How do we get an advantage from it without it just being an extra cost and a burden for us to run in operations? What can we do with it? And look at the risk side of that as well. If we do go down blockchain, what does it do to our organisation? Have you made it a public ledger, or is it a private blockchain? It's a public ledger. Are you really going to let all your competitors and partners use it, and you now own the platform? Is that the way it's going to work? Is that how you'll make money on the transaction in future? So I'm not talking technology now, I'm back into a business model. How is my organisation going to work? Where's my costs? Where's my money going to come from?
Really understanding the value it will bring as well, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what you should look for. If you want to get a good enterprise architect, you're asking them questions like that. They don't need to know your industry to start with. I've worked in many industries where I didn't know the industry up front. I bring the expertise from other industries and perspectives and the techniques to use. And I would certainly leverage the people in the industry as experts in it to ask them the questions. But your enterprise architect should be able to bring that together, bring all the different perspectives to the table, and then give you a valid, reasoned argument for this is what we should be doing.